today I have Trevor Longino, who has launched 15 startups from 0 to $3 million plus in ARR over the last decade, including unique. Ooh, that sounds fun. He has launched 50 startups, mentored about 200 more, taught thousands, and taught marketing, branding, growth, and revenue to more than 1,000 startups and accelerators all over Europe and North America. He is the founder of Crowd Tamers, an agency that launches new startups and new products, and is a small scale angel investor as well. So, hello, Trevor. Thanks for
Hello.
coming and chatting with me today.
Thanks, Christine. Good talking.
Yeah. So, first of all, Crowd Tamers. Why did you decide on Crowd Tamers as a name for your business?
Also, my technical name for my business is Longino Consulting LLC, which is really boring. And I wanted a DBA that was a little more fun. And back when I founded this company 15 years ago, or 16, oh my goodness, 16 years ago,
Hmm?
social media was new. Like you still had to have a .edu email address to sign up for Facebook.
Yes.
And so I'm like, well, that's the thing is I'm going to teach you how to tame the crowd on social media, but then broadly just the idea of the people I tend to work with now at Crowd Tamers are technical and product led founders. And the whole idea of marketing is kind of a scary, like all those people out there, if they just knew me well enough, they'd buy from me. But trying to get them to jump the gap between don't know about me and bought my product is terrifying. So there's still some idea of kind of getting that the unwashed masses who don't buy your product yet, taming
Hmm.
them, harnessing that force, and using that to be how you grow your business.
Wow, yeah. That really does describe the evolution in a nutshell of how things have come along between the time before Facebook, during Facebook, and now after all of these other things have popped up into our universe here.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So part of what you do is launch million-dollar businesses. Obviously, they're not million-dollar businesses when you start with them. So how do you launch a million? You take something that's brand new because you really enjoy working with startups. So how do you launch a million-dollar business from a startup?
So one of the things that like it's my mission to try and get the word out is figuring out if your business has enough potential to be $1 million business. And most businesses do have that potential. It sounds weird to say, but $1 million business isn't really that big a business. Like most enterprises that have any capacity to scale can hit $1 million. But you have to figure out one before you invest deeply in it. Can it scale to this? And the answer very frequently is not the way you're trying. And so being able to
Ah,
very quickly say, this is not the right way to go about it, put it down and try a new way is crucial to successfully launching $1 million business. They say that only 1 in 10 startups makes it past 2 or 3 years. And the answer is not because 90% of startups are crap. The answer is rather because 90% of founders didn't have enough time to get past all the bad ideas before they got the one that actually worked. And what Crowd Tamers does, the way we work, is we really quickly and really cheaply iterate on ideas until we find the one that works. And we use a couple different core concepts in how we do a go to market campaign for a client. The first part is we run what I call minimum viable sprints, and they
ooh.
are basically the tiniest marketing campaign you could possibly execute, but they have a utility. So the usual way someone makes a marketing campaign, you probably know this, Christine. You say, hey, I've got a budget. I'm going to write, maybe if I'm particularly organized, I'll write a plan for the whole thing. But a lot of marketers just shoot from the hip and say, great, I've got a blog post, maybe a press release, some social media posts, some graphics. Maybe I'll throw together a video, shot with my cell phone on selfie, like whatever. And then we'll launch it. Hope it works.
Hmm.
If it does work, awesome. I'm a genius. If it doesn't work, it's probably the sales team's fault anyway. So, like
Wow. Yeah.
that
I have heard
is,
those. I have heard absolutely those going on in companies.
and
Yeah.
the problem is you've launched the entire marketing campaign with no idea if it's going to work before you commit to it full time. So you'll put
Yep.
thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars into an idea that sounds good on paper, but maybe it sucks.
Mhm.
Anybody who's gone to business school or marketing school has no doubt seen examples of just awful advertising campaigns that, like, why would anybody have ever done this? The answer is because you didn't validate the idea first with a minimum viable sprint. So minimum viable sprint, very easy idea here. Take advantage of the social media platforms, taming the crowds on there, and
Yeah.
find an audience who looks like a good fit for you. You can do audience targeting on any of these platforms. And you're going to run an ad that's just text for 48 hours with a $100 ad spend. That's it. And what you do is you try different audiences with the same type of text or one audience with different types of text. And so what you're looking for is what gets engagement. And that's starting the very first part. Like there's no graphics here yet. There's no video. There's nothing fancy
All
done
the all
here.
the expensive stuff.
Yeah, all the expenses. It's just does this get their interest? And for a level of interest you want to see. So broadly across all of display advertising, which is what you want to do here. You don't want to buy Google ads because they are too, you have to know too much about your audience to have Google ads work. So display ads, that's Meta ads, TikTok ads, Pinterest ads, LinkedIn ads, like these sorts of things. Across all of them, the average click-through rate is 1/2 of 1%.
Mm.
If you can get at least a 1% click-through rate, you're already in the top 40% of all ads ever made, and you're not using fancy graphics or animations or videos or any of this. So
Wow.
get that click-through rate, and you know you've got something with some promise to develop. If you don't get that click-through rate, run another minimum viable sprint. For almost every founder I've worked with, you run 3 or 5 minimum viable sprints with between 3 to 10 ideas in each,
Hmm.
and then you're going to find the one that works really well.
Ah.
And so right there, you've knocked out somewhere between 6 and as many as 50 marketing campaigns to find the one that actually has promise. So you fail all the bad ideas for a small amount of money. And then you
Right.
find the one that works and you go from a minimum viable sprint to a grow to market campaign. Now you're building, if you think of the way you build a campaign, I'm sure you're familiar with the idea of a funnel,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
And I detest this for 2 reasons. One is because
Hmm.
literally everything that goes in the top of a funnel comes out the bottom, which doesn't make sense because everyone talks about, oh, your funnel loses people at every stage. Well, it's not a funnel, it's a crappy sieve then. Like your metaphor makes no sense. But the other thing is
Yeah.
a funnel makes it feel like it just happens, right? I put stuff in the top, I get people aware of me, and then they will magically come to the point where they're willing to buy. They'll just drop with gravity into my lap. And that is very much not how it goes.
No.
I like to think of this as you're building a pyramid. And
Okay.
then the like any building, the foundation must be solid. The awareness level, people knowing you exist and being interested enough to check you out, go to your website or whatever your offer is. That's that 1% jump you want to hit. And then you build, once you've got that 1% working, you build a grow to market campaign, which combines ideas of growth hacking and go to market. Growth hacking is iteration, fast development, and moving your way forward. So once you've got text that works, then we work on what's the graphic that works. Once you have the graphic that works, what's the landing page that gets signups? Forget if they buy yet. We're not measuring that. Do you just get signups for an offer? Awesome. Now can we activate them into an action, right? Is it attend a sales call? Is it try the product online for free? Whatever it is, you've got these metrics of success you're building up sequentially.
Right.
So
Layering.
you've de-risked everything. You're not
Yeah.
saying, hey, I built a landing page and everything and launched it all and now it sucks. Instead, and also if it sucks, I don't know why. Is it the wrong audience coming to the page? Does the page not do the job? Are they not activating once they've signed up? Are they not buying once they've activated? What's wrong? I don't know. If you build in order, you can see, oh, well, I haven't yet hit the right metric for this stage. So keep trying until I do.
Right.
And so by going through this very sequential system, the big problem of I have an idea, how do I make it make $1 million, gets broken down into 5 or 6 little problems.
Right.
And each of those little problems can be solved with discrete steps and with a known successful outcome. And so then you put all this together and it becomes less daunting to say, my idea, how do I bring it to the world? Instead, you go, okay, my idea, how do I find 100,000 people who look like they're all going to care about this one sentence? And that gets way easier, and you build up from there.
Fantastic. Wow. Yeah. Taking off, eating an elephant one bite at a time, but also
Exactly.
but also breaking it down into its component parts and working on each one of those distinctly, separately to get that precise, so you're not just throwing money into the air and hoping something grabs on, right? And
Exactly.
especially nowadays, things are not cheap. Advertising is not cheap, doing any of that sort of stuff. And to be fully committed into an ad campaign or a marketing campaign without having all of these super important, it's like a grain of sand in an oyster. It's not, if you don't put a pearl in there and then hope it's going to get bigger. It's not the same thing. You have to break it down and work on each one. And I love that because it's so systematized and so easy to get your precise metrics on what is working and what is not working, right? And really finding your audience, finding your market. So
Exactly.
I love that. I love that.
And so that's what Crowd Tamers, the agency, does. The course I run and teach is the same thing. I work with Founder Institute. I just finished my 39th cohort with Founder Institute. So
Wow.
I need to update my bio because I've mentored one-on-one with about 600 founders by now. And I've taught about 4,000 founders through Founder Institute. Go-to-market marketing and scale.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I just love that. And that's why I was so interested in getting together with you and talking about this, because what I find is when I find someone whose mind works a totally different way than the masses, and what everyone else is shilling out there, and it when I hear the methodology behind it and everything, it just really resonates for me that this person really has seen something that other people aren't seeing. And what they're seeing, they're putting into practice, and they've got proven results from it. And you've got all this time and all of these results behind you. And so it's amazing to me, that I got to find out that you even exist, right? And then now I want to make sure that as many people as possible in my network, in my field division, can enjoy the benefits of all of the work that you've done leading up to where you are now, plus anything else that comes along, anything else that you come up with going forward that you openly share and help your clients with. So
definitely. Well, thank you. That is, I've had the weird fortune. I have been responsible for the launch of probably around 50 startups. And that's probably an order of magnitude more than most people.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. I know
Even really
multimillionaires that haven't
dedicated
done that
founders
many.
maybe done 5.
Yeah.
And that is because I was VP of marketing for a startup accelerator that just launched startups. Their whole value prop was they will get a couple of developers in a room. They'll get a couple of developers in a room, and they will tell them, look, you code. Whatever you want to code, you code. Every other part of the business will handle. And so we rented, well, we didn't, I wasn't, the CEO, he rented a Quonset hut, which is those like corrugated metal Quonset, like an airplane hangar, just off of Orlando's International Airport. And it had no air conditioning in Florida.
Oh,
No
no.
air conditioning.
With the
And
humidity?
the humidity was just, we had folding tables like you'd see in school cafeterias, like the faux wood folding tables. We had like 10 of them. Well, two at a time, stacked 10 deep, so 20 total. and then server racks in the back of this Quonset hut, which was with no AC, was terrible for the servers. And then all of the and of course servers are also very, very loud. So just the
Yes.
constant, chainsaw roar of these servers in the back of this open corrugated metal hut. Not, I would I would not call this the best working environment ever, but had that, and then we would launch a startup a month. Basically, we find a new team, we'd bring them in, we'd say, great, you want to code this thing, we're going to take care of the. We had bookkeepers, we had HR people, we had sales people, we had marketing people, and so just launching and launching and launching and launching. And I was not recruited as their VP of marketing. I was recruited as their copywriter to write press releases and stuff. And about 7 weeks after I joined the company, everybody above me in the marketing team quit.
Oh,
And so the CEO's like, you're now the director of marketing, Trevor. And I'm like, I don't know anything about this. Like, I have a minor in marketing from my university, and then I went out of university and instantly went into testing video games for Electronic Arts.
oh, EA.
And
They're just up the
yeah, for
street from
EA.
me.
Yeah, so worked for them. Their Tiburon Studios in Orlando, Florida, make all the sports games. So I was responsible
Ah,
for testing like NASCAR sports. I don't know NASCAR.
yeah,
AA football, I don't know football, American football, of course.
yeah.
NFL football, don't know that either. And then cricket, don't know that either. Right? I
Oh,
was just testing the game, but knew nothing about the rules. And so doing that, and then working 90 plus hours every week because it was a sausage machine of a company,
hmm
and got out of that. So basically convinced the CEO of Nextelligence, look, I write 10 to 15 bugs a day. That's copywriting. That's what it is. And I'm
yeah.
describing it orderly like it's technical writing. So they
Yeah.
hired me on to be a writer. And then I was in charge of, there were four of us at first. And at the end of about 18 months, launching a startup every month, the team was 50.
Ooh,
A whole lot of them overseas in India were content production facilities. We, for a while, owned the second largest social network in India before
wow.
we sold it off, called Buy India. They're now long since gone. But they also, like any social network, the first 200 users were all fake.
Oh,
It was the same 20 Indians who were all writing stuff on each other's profiles in Hindi and Telugu and Marathi, and
oh,
just having
wow.
like, we had these whole, every week we would plan and arrange and organize what the plot lines were amongst the different members of the community, talking with and whatever. But
Yeah.
it was enough to make, when people visited, they went, oh, this is active.
Right.
I'll
Right.
communicate too. Reddit did the same thing when Reddit launched. The
Yeah.
founders had like 50 profiles each. They were posting all the time. So yeah, we had every Indian content producer for Buy India had the goal of 200 comments, posts, or interactions every week.
Wow.
They were just, so we had 20 of them. Right? We were doing 4,000 of these a week. And so people were like, oh, look, it's a big community. And then it started to pick up and it got some momentum going.
Yeah.
So, like, launching all these, I launched a bunch of them just horribly. I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And then the only real benefit to having me in charge of doing this marketing was I took good notes
hmm
and I learned by doing a lot wrong what not to do twice.
Right.
And so then, like, my first five that I launched, I basically strangled them in their cribs like someone murdering a baby. It was brutal. But then the later one had a little better chance of success. The Prize Factory came from Nextelligence. Chamber
Okay.
of E-commerce came from Nextelligence. Buy India came from Nextelligence. So like those all grew and scaled and did quite well. This is back in 06, 07, somewhere around then. The
Yeah.
Prize Factory, for a while, it was, you mentioned it sounds fun. What they did was, when you have any online chance to win game,
Okay.
or even offline ones, McDonald's has their big
Monopoly.
Monopoly game every year.
Yeah.
And for 2 years, the Prize Factory powered their online Monopoly game.
Right.
So because one of the founders of that product knew the team at Lloyd's of London, who
Ooh.
underwrites basically all of these. So the way this works is, when you have a chance to win a big prize, like, the marketing team does not have clearance to spend $1 million if somebody wins, but instead they go to Lloyd's of London. They pay Lloyd's of London $50,000, and Lloyd's of London underwrites it and says, if somebody wins, we'll pay out the cash.
Oh,
So
wow.
because the Prize
That's
Factory's founder
interesting.
knew Lloyd's of London employees.
Yes.
Basically, anytime somebody came to them and went, "We want to do this, but we're not sure how to do it on the internet," they'd say, "Oh, go talk to my friends at the Prize Factory."
Right.
And so McDonald's, Taco Bell, and I think the NFL all had like the Prize Factory powered games at one point. Did super well. So like those were all successful launchers. I do think the Prize Factory website is technically still up, but it looks very like it was made in 2006 because it was. And
Yeah, and
I'm not sure that
they don't
the
really
company's
need.
still around anymore.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it would have
Like
been
I'm
quite
curious.
something because the monopoly is still going. I mean, they just did a big marketing push for it, that they've high graded it somehow, and now you can
Ah,
do it on an app on your phone, something like that.
okay, gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So yeah, so it's interesting. So if the Prize Factory is still around, I would be
They are,
surprised
and
if it.
I looked at the
Yeah.
website, and this is actually still the website that I and their developer coded together in 2006.
Well, they don't need the front end. The front end doesn't matter because the back end is happily moving along, right?
Yeah, clearly. So that is, I mean, that's some that looks like very 1990s GeoCities design. Anyway, so like learn by doing that, right? Learn by launching, and then over the years, I have continued to find better ways to model how this works and
Right.
find better predictive metrics to help founders, like being able to say something like, "Hey, you've run your first one or two minimum viable sprints. Good for you. What was your CPM, which is cost per thousand? Confusingly, in English, we use cost per mille, even though mille is not the English word for thousand. And for a lot of founders, I can say, hey, at that cost per thousand, you're not charging enough. You can't make your business won't make money. And being able to say that a week into your first marketing campaign, say, nope, your prices have to be 2x or 10x what you're currently charging for this business to have enough legs to go, is people are like, I don't believe you. You're making stuff up. And I'm like, no, really. I can walk you through all the math and
Yes.
show this to you. And the math's not that complicated, but it's all fractional percentages. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, we could just say, look, this is not going to work. Your prices should be higher. For almost every new startup, that's true anyway. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and the magic is also in having the founder or the decision maker be aware and be open and to understand that, when you hire a professional to do a job, let them do the job, right? And so often, what I found with some founders is their ego gets in the way. It's my baby, it's my thing, it's my, I know exactly what it is. But yeah, you know exactly what it is to create your baby. That's fine.
yeah,
But in order to get it out to the masses that you need to get it to, the specific masses you need to get it to, you need to hire a professional that knows exactly what to do and has a system, has a plan, has done this before successfully, not just done this before, but done this before successfully, and
yeah,
not question their judgment when they come back to you with facts, with evidence. I've gone out, I've checked it out. This is what came back, and it sucks. We need to do something. We need to do this other change. You know,
yeah.
those are
Well,
the
one
kind of.
advantage to going through a system like this where we're, I mean, so you're running ads, right? And a lot of
Yeah,
people say don't run ads for a new business. And I completely agree. Don't run ads for a new business if your goal is to make money right away,
right,
because you don't know enough to make money. That's the whole problem. But when you run ads to learn how to make money, it ends up taking ego out of the discussion because it's not I'm right and you're wrong.
right.
It is I'll test anything client asks me to test. I don't care, man, because
Yeah,
I don't know the right way to launch anything, like the specifics of is it this phrase or this phrase. I don't know. I test it and we see what works. And I had a client I talked to this morning, actually. I had an early call with a client this morning. And one of the things they said to me 3 or 4 weeks ago, we were running our first minimum viable sprints for them. They're like, this is not the right way to talk about this. You're being too simple. You
mm,
have to give us, like, you have to put more industry terminology in this. And I'm like, I don't think so, but let's test it. And
Mhm.
so the difference in the performance on like the jargon laden ads and the simpler ads for this particular client was a 600% difference in the performance of the ads in the favor of the simpler language, right? So you're like, look, I'm not gloating over I'm right and you're wrong because it could have gone either way. I'm wrong a whole lot. We know what the audience prefers. That's all that matters.
Exactly. Exactly. And what where you're again where you're getting engagement, that's the proof, right?
That's the proof.
That's it's actual real humans responding or not responding, as it
Or
were.
not.
Yeah. And it is interesting, especially I find industries like engineering, right? They get very tied up into their jargon, and that's all fine. And that, we're talking to people, we want to talk to people that are like us. So we want to talk in the jargon, and that's fine. But sometimes those people aren't looking at, they're not looking for anything. They've got tunnel vision, they're in their groove, everything's working for them, they're not looking for anything outside. So how do you get them? You get them by keeping it simple and letting other people go, hey, engineer friend, have you heard about this thing? Right? And they go, no. And then they, of course, engineers, they go deep into it right
Take a look at it.
away.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they realize, oh, hey, right? So those are the kind of things, know your audience, yes. But if you don't know your audience, it it's not just about your audience itself. It's about how to get to them. And some of them, scientists, are the same thing. They're always
Yes.
nose down in their work. They're not ever looking up and what's happening in the rest of the world at the same time as they're doing that, because they're so focused on their goal. So if there's a new microscope or something that's available, they're not even going to go look for it, because they're just focusing on the do, not the tools. And so it's going to be somebody else coming in and tapping them on the shoulder and saying, hey, here's a new microscope, it's even better, and blah blah blah. And they're like, oh wow, okay. And then and then they keep going. So the big thing is knowing how to get to the people, and sometimes you have to go through other people to get to them.
A lot of those very technical people are like, oh, marketing blah blah doesn't work on me. And they're wrong. Like, we're
Yeah.
all human, right? They're
Oh
wrong.
yeah. Yeah.
But the thing is, marketing blah blah of certain types won't work on them. Like I have a book that I use ads to help drive discovery of and sell my book. And the book is like $8.50 or something like that. And it cost me about $85 or maybe $95 to sell a copy of the book, which is obviously not a very positive ROI. But I know 1 in 40-ish people who buys this book is going to reach out and ask to be a client of mine. Like, if things work out, everything. So
Yeah.
clients of mine are worth enough where that trade-off is worth it. But what I don't do, and this has gotten some people to just track me down and be mad at me, I don't have like an 8 email drip sequence after you bought my book with, hey, buy this, or hey, I send one email. The book itself has 2 links back to my website, one on the author bio page and one on the very last page. And that is it. So it's not a hard sell.
Yeah.
And I've had a couple people, one dude in particular I remember, who found me on LinkedIn. He's like, I like your book, but I'm mad at you because there's no upsell loops. Like, there needs to be better upsells here. And I'm like, well, most of my audience is actively turned off by the upsell, right? If they read the book and they go, this guy knows his stuff, I should talk to him. That's enough. I could probably make some more money if I had more aggressive upsell loops, but given that I work with product and tech led founders who respond to a heavily data driven approach to growing their business, I know my audience enough to not try and sell differently, right? I've worked with some clients who the day didn't matter to them. I
Yeah.
had a client, well, actually, I had a client where for the CEO, the data mattered. And we completely transformed their business, took them from making about $400 a month to making about 40 grand a month in 7 months.
Wow.
And so tremendous difference. And then they were like, oh, now we're ready to hire a VP of marketing, a real marketer. And because you're fractional, Trevor, you can't devote your time to us full time. That's fine. And so we had a admittedly fairly ugly ad and landing page combo. That's just it
Yeah.
worked. It worked.
Yeah.
We would spend like $25 to close a $400 sale repeatedly, right?
Wow. That's a
So
great ROI.
that's a phenomenal ROI.
Don't break
And
it.
it was a hardware company, and during the pandemic, they couldn't get more units. So we shifted the product to be a subscription for 90 days and you send it back. And we still kept the price point the same. And people were still buying this 90-day use it and send it back sequence. So it was
Oh,
working really well. The new VP comes on board. He's like, we're going to make everything look beautiful.
uh,
So he did. And it went up about $130 to sell a $400 product. They were still making money, but making substantially less. And he didn't care. He's like, no. We need to look this way to be a real company.
oh
And I'm
my.
like, dude, you've quadrupled your cost per acquisition to
Yeah.
know real like what is, and maybe at some point in the future you hope that people will like the brand better. Like that doesn't matter, man. You make money now and worry about 5 years from now. 5 years from now, right? People aren't
Yeah.
going to remember you that far out. So
Yeah.
sometimes I find that happens, and then that sort of person, that's my sign. Like this is not the client for me, right? So I worked with that guy
Yeah.
for like maybe 6 weeks. Then I went, you know what? Peace out. I'm glad I got the company in a good enough position to hire you. I'm done. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the other magic of being in business, and knowing your stuff, knowing when to be able to cut people loose. Firing clients is not a bad thing, especially when things like that happen. That scenario, and things like that happen a lot in business, unfortunately. So, but that's okay because there's so many new startups, and there's more now than there ever has been, and
Yeah.
like ever. And I can honestly say that with authority. And they all need help. They all need, there's so many things. Again, they know they've built and created this magical whatever widget, and they need somebody else to look after taking that widget and making it, doing the, what is it, the in the Lion King where the father holds up the cub, here, take it,
Simba.
yes, take it to the world,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I'm going to release my baby to you to get it famous and throughout the world and make us a lot of money. So, and there's nothing wrong with making money. Money is, money. Everybody needs it. Everybody likes to eat. So
Yeah.
it's not a bad thing at all. But going with someone that's already a proven entity to do what you need done, that's hands down the best decision you'll ever make. So I'm really, really happy that we got to talk today. And thank you
Awesome. Thank
very
you.
much for toughing it out. I know you're suffering with allergies
Yeah,
in
my
a big way
allergies are
right
so
now.
bad. I'm hoping it's not too distracting to your listeners, but I'm just constantly dripping right now. So
Yeah.
my apologies, listener. I've tried to mute the worst of the noises.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Trevor. And with that, I will say reach out to Trevor. His contact information and the link is below to set up a call with him. And really look forward to doing this again and I'm looking also forward to hearing comments and people making notes of what they've taken away from this conversation and what they plan to do on their own, and if they're ready to take that jump and actually work with a professional that knows what they're doing and take it and ride it all the way up. So thanks again, Trevor. Really,
Thanks so
really
much,
nice to
Christine.
have had you. And with that, we'll say talk soon.
Take care.